ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blur Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, today's video, we're going to be talking about Blade number 9, written by Brian Hill, with art by Valentina Pinti, and color by KJ Diaz. The funny thing about this issue is that Blade gets to have some comeuppance with the character Tanaka, a werewolf in Japan who he interacted with in Blade number 1. The very same Tanaka who betrayed him to the Adana. In this issue, Blade gets to spend some time handing him a receipt for his treachery and doing it in some very interesting ways. Like the way that Blade is interacting with Tanaka in this issue is pretty damn funny, and it feels very real. It kind of reminds me of that scene from Menace to Society with Bill Duke.
You done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
When Blade catches up with Tanaka, this is basically, not exactly what he says, but this is the energy of what he said. We also learn because of this encounter that the character Draven, the brother of Rotha, who Blade unalived in Blade number 1, has gained new abilities after his voluntary stay in Hell. He's become capable of rending the minds and souls of living creatures, even creatures like werewolves. But the real sell here is what sacrifice Blade is willing to make to get the Adana to show her face. She's been hiding out in Hell and refuses to face the Daywalker, probably even more so now because he's leveled himself up powers-wise quite a bit. It's not to say that I think she believes he can actually take her, but she doesn't want to take the chance that he might be able to. So Blade's plan to get her to come out of hiding is to piss off every demon faction in the second world, the supernatural world for those who don't know what that is, and force the Adana's hand. He is literally going from pillar to post, destroying parts of the second world, going after vampires, going after ghosts, going after goblins, going after pretty much anyone who is connected to that. And the logic here is that no one in the second world will sit by and watch as this happens. They'll want revenge, and because the Adana rules the second world, they'll want her to take action, and in many cases, they'll very likely annoy her until she does. And if she doesn't, she'll be made to look weak. And while she isn't, the last thing the Adana needs is her entire kingdom turning against her. But having the Adana's undivided attention may be a death sentence for Blade. If we didn't already know about the upcoming Blood Hunt event where Blade will be facing off with multiple vampire lords who are running roughshod across the Marvel Universe. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that Blade's gonna make it out of this just fine. So yeah, there's that. That said, Blade as a comic, not as the character, but just as a comic, is coming to a close. And this is an alarming trend I'm noticing among black-led books at Marvel lately, which granted, there's not that many of them, but still, the fact remains that it appears that while Brian Hill has confirmed that Ultimate Black Panther is going to be an ongoing series, I kind of shudder at the thought of that because ongoing's definition has changed quite a bit in the last few years. Nowadays, people call even a 10-issue series an ongoing series. I've always kind of looked at ongoing as something that just keeps going until you inevitably either end up having to cancel the book because eventually the sales drop off, or it's one of those situations where no, the book just goes on indefinitely regardless and switches writers. Like when I think of an ongoing title, I think of Amazing Spider-Man, I think of Superman, I think of Batman, those books that just keep going for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of issues. But no, it seems like Marvel's definition of ongoing has completely changed to even an ongoing being 10 issues. It's funny to me because both Marvel and Brian Hill have gone on record in the past saying that this Blade title was supposed to be an ongoing, so now that we know that it ain't, kind of weird. For those of you who have caught my video for Black Panther, you probably already know this, but if you have not, then I will also let you know that the Black Panther series by Evel Ewing is also ending, and it actually ended this week at issue 10. Now, I will use a very similar reasoning for why this is probably happening behind the scenes that is less racially motivated, but probably just has more to do with the fact that sometimes people are busy. And I do recognize that Brian Hill is also a screenwriter for TV and movies, not just a comics writer. So I imagine him writing Ultimate Black Panther is all he really has time for, because I remember when the Dawn of X kicked off right after House of X, he was writing the book Fallen Angels. When he had a bunch of TV and movie projects come up, he completely walked away from that book and the book just ended. So I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's probably just more of that. And that is kind of more indicative of a bigger problem in comics, but I don't even want to frame it as a problem, but I do feel like maybe expectations when companies like Marvel hire writers who aren't just comic writers, who may have other responsibilities, other commitments. I feel like maybe Marvel should be a bit more transparent about how long a series is going to go, so that way people don't get so invested that when the book just suddenly comes up canceled or ended, it doesn't come as quite a shock to the system. But hey, hindsight's 20/20 vision. As for the comic itself, I think it's all going to come down to Doctor Strange stepping in and helping his bro out. We know Satana has basically shamed him in this regard now that he knows what Blade is doing. She makes a smart-ass remark that Blade didn't come to her for faith, he simply wanted help. Help Strange refused to provide. You can tell Strange's wheels are turning, so maybe this will be the thing that helps turn the tide against the Adana. Because I'm gonna be brutally honest, while I love Blade and I think he's a great character and Brian Hill has done a fantastic job writing him, there has at no point been any evidence given to me in this issue or any other previous issue by Brian Hill that Blade has even so much as a snowball's chance in hell of defeating the Adana solo dolo. And it's not to say that it's a lack of skill on Brian Hill's part, but Brian Hill has made it pretty obvious, even in the words of Blade himself. Blade knows he can't do this by himself. He knows he could very likely die. And when Satana tells Doctor Strange that one possibility of Blade doing this reckless maneuver in an attempt to get the Adana to step out of the darkness, and this is something that gets Doctor Strange's wheels turning, is that if Blade fails, he could wind up becoming a tool of the Adana. You guessed it, obligatory channel outro time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. Clicking that subscribe button and tapping that notification bell ensures that you get more videos just like this one, and you don't miss any of my other content that I drop throughout the week, plus my live streams every Thursday and Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button, keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.